The Planning and Zoning Commission is composed of volunteer citizens appointed by the City Council. The Commission is the designated hearing body for a range of land use applications, including general plan amendments, rezones, conditional use permits, and amendments to the zoning code. Upon recommendation by the Commission, general plan amendments, rezones, and zoning code amendments proceed forward to the Peoria City Council for final action. For conditional use permits, the Commission will make a final decision subject to appeal. All hearings are conducted in accordance with the rules for procedure requirements to allow an impartial and efficient hearing, and all Commission meetings are open to the public under the Arizona Open Meeting Law. Each case will be called in the order in which it appears on the agenda unless otherwise announced during the meeting. Once called, City staff will give a presentation of the case, followed by a presentation from the applicant if they so desire. After the applicant's presentation, members of the public who have submitted a speaker's request form will be called to speak by the Commission Chair. The applicant may be called to provide additional information, clarification, or a rebuttal. The Commission will discuss the case, may ask additional questions, and take action. Any member of the public wishing to speak must complete a speaker's request form and hand it to the planning assistant at the end of the dais. When speaking, please limit your comments to a maximum of 3 minutes and try not to repeat statements already made by others. We welcome your comments, and as fellow citizens of Peoria, we thank you in advance for your participation.
Good evening, Chair Wademan Powell. I would like to call our January 8, 2026 meeting to order, which is our Peoria Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Welcome, everyone. I see staff, I think we see a few residents, and I think we have some projects being presented as well. So thank you all for joining us tonight. Commissioners, let's begin tonight with a roll call. Once I call your name, please indicate your presence. Vice Chair Villasenor?
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Cottrell?
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Julie Agia?
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Fighter?
Present.
Thank you. I believe we may have one commissioner on the line by phone. Do we have Commissioner Gaynor on the line? Okay. So Commissioner Gaynor will be absent. I know he was not feeling too well. He's not feeling too well, and I think he may be been just in a little few. I think we have some technical difficulties. So if he joins us, we'll make sure to indicate his presence. Thank you. Everyone, this is the final call for speaker request forms. If you would like to address the commission tonight, feel free to grab a speaker request form at the entrance, or if you are already inside, feel free to go to Ms. Duffy right here on the side, and she will hand you one as well. We will start off with our consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are routine in nature, and so all of those will be enacted within one motion. We have item 1C, 2C, and 3C as stated and listed. I won't go into detail of all of those. These are going to be consent agenda, and so I will just go ahead and move forward, commissioners, and ask for a motion for our consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve our consent agenda, including 1C, 2C, and 3C.
Thank you. Vice Chair, properly moved. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Properly moved by Vice Chair Villasenor and seconded by Commissioner Cottrell. Can we please have a vote, commissioners? Thank you all, commissioners, and our consent agenda passes unanimously. Thank you. So let's move on to new business now. We will go into the next two items, and they will be presented simultaneously, but voted on separately tonight. Correct, staff? Thank you. So I'll go ahead and hand it over to staff to present item 4 and 5R. Do we have you, Mr. Valencia?
That's correct, Madam Chair.
Please present. Thank you.
So, good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. My name is Elias Valencia, and I'm one of your senior planners. Besides liking to dress up and enjoying listening to hipster music, I like to process land entitlement. So today I will be presenting to you all on two cases before you, a minor general plan amendment and a rezoning application for a project known as Treviso. Now, we do have these subject applications that were submitted by Mr. Adam Ball. They were on behalf of Kehovanian Great Western Homes. Now, KHOV has identified themselves as the developer, and again, they are being represented tonight by Mr. Ball, who has also prepared a brief presentation to share with the commission after this presentation. The subject property, as you see, is approximately 56.1 acres of undeveloped land, which was recently auctioned off by the Arizona State Land Department. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more later in the presentation. The subject site is located at the northwest corner of 95th Avenue and Happy Valley Road, and it is there behind the, and around, enveloping that power center at Lake Pleasant Crossing, which is anchored by a Fry's and a Lowe's. The applicant has submitted these requests to develop up to 139 single-family residential homes. And again, because there's 2 requests before the commission tonight, there will be the 2 separate actions that are needed when we get to the recommendation part. Okay. So the first request, item 4R, is a minor general plan amendment seeking to change the land use designation for approximately 8.9 acres from mixed-use neighborhood village to traditional residential. Now, those 8.9 acres are depicted there on the map by that blue outline within the red, where it says GPA. Those 8.9 acres are what we call the elephant trunk portion of the overall site, which is the request for the general plan designation land use change. Now, each of the designations that you see there currently can accommodate different densities. The mixed-use neighborhood village designation can accommodate between 12 to 20 dwelling units per acre, as well as commercial uses. The traditional residential designation allows anywhere between 2 to 5 dwelling units per acre. Now, if approved, this would make the entire 56.1 acre site, which is the red boundary on that map, it would make that a designation of traditional residential, again, 2 to 5 dwelling units per acre. The second request is going to be a rezone, which is going to be for the entire portion in red, that 56.1 acre site. That would be to change the zoning designation from Suburban Ranch, or SR 43, to PAD, Planned Area Development. And this would allow for the development of the proposal to be pursuant to that general plan designation. As we see, traditional residential currently encompasses majority of that site. So if we dive a little deeper into the area context, we see there that the site is located at the east portion of what's known as the Four Corners, and it's at the intersection of Lake Pleasant Parkway and Happy Valley Road. So those 4 corners at that intersection also all happen to contain commercial uses. The subject site happens to be located behind that commercial center there, the Lake Pleasant Crossings, and it's also nestled between residential uses to the north, east, and as you continue south beyond Happy Valley Road. So other items to take into consideration for this area context is that there is a mix of density surrounding the site, which range greatly, again, from 1 to over 20 dwelling units per acre, as well as commercial uses. And being in the midst of all of that, the subject site is a prime example of what is known as an infill development or an infill lot, because again, it's between all those variety of uses. And as it was mentioned earlier, this site was formerly owned by the Arizona State Land Department. It was auctioned off as a greater 72.7 acre site last year, and we'll see that in the next slide. And one other constraint that we'll also see in the next slide is that there's an existing wash and a 60-foot wide gas line easement, but the next slide is going to have the depiction and the graphic. We can go into it and see how that's played into the request. So just a little more history on the site. As mentioned, this parcel went to auction last year for 72.7 acres. So if you go on Lake Pleasant Parkway right there where you see the extension of that trunk portion, if you continue north where you see the yellow that says SR 43, basically follow that boundary. There's south of Corancia to 95th Avenue, then go westbound on Happy Valley Road, behind the center, and back to Lake Pleasant Parkway. That's what the state land auction sold off, a 72.7 acre site. So the requests tonight are only going to be involving 56.1 acres, and then for the general plan designation, the 8.9 acres within there. So how we got here. Before this property was even annexed in the city, it was a state land holding. When it was annexed into the city 37 years ago in 1989, it was shortly after given its initial designation of suburban ranch, SR 43, in 1991. Then the property was auctioned off again 36 years later, 2025, it goes to sale. And this is not so uncommon with state land as we've seen in previous cases before. The land was held for nearly 4 decades, which is why it remained vacant, while the rest of the neighboring land developed into the mixture of land designations and uses we see today, including mixed-use neighborhood village and traditional residential. And for those that may be joining us for the first time, just to touch on what the Arizona State Land Department's mission is, it's to manage more than the 9 million acres of land throughout the state for 13 beneficiaries. They act as their own entity, separate from the city. They determine when they put land up for auction, for lease, or for sale. Often, there's a misconception that state trust lands are open space, but that's not the case. Again, the mission of the ASLD is to sell land when it reaches its highest value to fund those beneficiaries, such as schools. And in the map that you see displayed, it shows that there's additional state land in the vicinity of the site. And the most recently auctioned off piece you can see there in purple towards the center. So before we get into staff's analysis, let's go ahead and discuss what all the developer is proposing. If the entitlements are granted to the subject site, the applicant's goal is to develop a gated community with up to 139, not 3, 139 single-family residential lots. This amounts to an overall density of 2.48 dwelling units per acre. So to give a higher layer overview of this layout, the applicant is proposing to create this planned area development similar to adjacent developments there. But here the applicant is proposing minimum lot sizes, 2 different lot sizes, smaller lots at 6,600 square feet and larger lots at 7,300 square feet. But I want to point out that when you move on that site, on that layout from east to west, you'll notice that there is a row of 22 lots there that are the larger lots. And in actuality, even though in the standards and guidelines, they call out minimum lot sizes of 7,300 square feet for those larger lots, they're more in their actual sizes are going to be between 9,000 to almost 11,000 square feet. So there's going to be 2 access points to get to the site, both of them off of 95th Avenue. And there's going to be signal modifications at the intersection of Happy Valley Road, such as a chamfer, a relocation of equipment, and that's all associated with road widening and the new geometry of the street. Although the interior lots would allow for 1- and 2-story homes, those larger lots on 95th Avenue are going to have a 20-foot, 5-foot height single-story restriction. So the proposed planned community is also going to provide over 18 acres of open space, which is approximately 33% of the site. And that's more than double the required open space. Public access trails are being proposed also to connect the development to the surrounding neighborhoods, amenities, and commercial uses. And we see 5 recreation nodes there by those bright yellow asterisks that they're going to be placed strategically around the development to serve the residents there. We also see that the way the lots are laid out, that they demonstrate physical separation from the adjacent neighborhoods. On the east, there's going to be 80 feet of separation from lot to lot going east. There's going to be more than 200 feet of separation from the lots at Tierra del Sol on the south, and over 300 feet to Querencia lots on the north. So now that we have a general idea of what is being proposed, let's get into staff's analysis of the requests. And as a reminder, we are evaluating 2 different proposals tonight, but the first proposal is only for that 8.9 acre elephant trunk portion there, where you see the kind of like the green line to where the blue line cuts it off. That's the 8.9 acre portion. And as we evaluate the minor general plan amendment, we see that the reason for the change has to do with a lot of physical constraints on that site. That green area is a wash. So what that means is that it's creating this separation, it's severing the overall development pattern of that designation there. So although the map currently designates the gas as the boundary for mixed-use neighborhood village there, it's a more functional boundary to utilize the wash that exists there. Changing that designation would still retain that mixed use along Lake Pleasant Parkway while providing that infill transition from the commercial and 12-plus dwelling units per acre that is currently allowed there, transitioning that to the 2.48 dwelling units per acre that is being proposed, and on the very low end of what traditional residential allows, which is between 2 and 5. Our second request is for the rezoning of the 56.1 acre site from suburban ranch to planned area development. And so when we evaluate a rezoning case, we evaluate for conformance with the general plan. The general plan designation of traditional residential calls for moderately sized lots and a density between 2 to 5 dwelling units per acre. The proposed development calls for detached single-family residential lots at a density of 2.48 dwelling units per acre. It does not exceed what is permitted with the general plan designation. And it does this through the use of a planned area development, which is a zoning tool that allows for tailored standards to address area compatibility. And here we have the different intensities surrounding the site, the topographical constraints, such as the gas easement and the wash that we discussed earlier. In the standards and guidelines of the PAD, you see the 2 minimum lot sizes, again, that are being proposed. The larger 7,300 square foot minimum lots, and then the smaller 6,600 square foot lots. Those smaller lots, again, are going to be more internal to the site, closer to the heavier and commercial uses. The larger lots, again, are going to range between approximately 9,000 to almost 11,000 square feet in size. They're going to be buffering those larger lots to the east, and they're enveloped in that red and white square or rectangle. Those are the lots that are going to have the 1-story and 25-foot height restriction. So just want to clearly let you all see and visualize the amount of distance before any 2-story product would be there. And when we get a rezoning request, the traffic impact analysis is required. And one was submitted for this proposal, and it was reviewed by our traffic staff. And as we dive into access and traffic, I do want to remind the commission that we do have a representative from our team present. They'll be available for questions later as well, if needed. So 95th Avenue is designated as a collector roadway, and it will have specific half-street improvements that are required. For this project, both 95th Avenue and Happy Valley frontages would require them. 95th Avenue is going to include road widening, curbs, gutters, and sidewalks. Happy Valley Road is going to have signal modifications to accommodate safety and the new geometry that results from the road widening. The subdivision is going to be gated. It's going to have the 2 access points off of 95th Avenue, and we see those 2 access points in those purple and white circles on the map. The northernmost access point, so that's the one closer to the top there, was shifted. That wasn't its original location. That shift from El Cortez Place was done to minimize any potential cut-through traffic into the neighborhood. That was a direct result also from neighborhood feedback. In addition, 95th Avenue will terminate there at El Cortez. The remaining right-of-way is going to be dedicated as an easement within a tract to ensure that it's landscaped and maintained by the development. I left out one part here. There's also, why is it going forward instead of back? That's why. Okay, to divert speeding, the speed humps on 95th Avenue that are there will also remain. So in review of the proposal, the engineering staff found that the utilities that are adjacent to the site have the capacity to serve the proposal with water and sewer. Okay, so now we can get into our community outreach. So when it comes to outreach provided by the applicant, the city does send notices of application and notices of hearing within a designated notification radius. For these cases, the requirement was 1,320 feet. So that was sent out to that radius and then to HOAs within 1 mile of the project as well. A legal ad was published and the site was posted, all per city requirements. And for these cases, we received a total of 4 emails in opposition, 4 emails in support, and 1 email for general information. The subject site also is within the current boundaries for Frontier Elementary School and Sunrise Mountain High School. Although PUSD has not provided the city with any comment, the applicant did provide communication from the school district stating that there was sufficient capacity to serve the projected students. When it comes to outreach, there are other requirements as well besides the city's notification. These requirements are for the applicant to host a minimum of 1 neighborhood meeting, and that's also involving posting the site, sending out letters again to those radiuses that we discussed at 1,320 feet and the 1 mile for the HOAs. Although 1 neighborhood meeting is required, the applicant hosted 2 neighborhood meetings. So their first and required neighborhood meeting was hosted in August of 2025. At that meeting, there were 50 in attendance. That was excluding staff and the applicant's team. The second neighborhood meeting, which was not a requirement, that was hosted by the applicant in October, and that was attended by 21 attendees. The comments that were received throughout the case and the correspondence and feedback have all maintained the following general themes. Of those that were in support, they cited that it's a well-planned development that's compatible in character, integrates open space, and aligns with the general plan. Those in opposition cited that there should be no development on the property, that the land use and density were too extreme, lot sizes and layouts were incompatible, that there was going to be high levels of traffic, street lighting was a concern, as well as water and school capacities. So as part and a direct result of the community participation process, as well as the collaborative efforts of the developer, the following design solutions ended up resulting throughout this process. A commitment to larger lots abutting 95th Avenue with that 1-story, 25-foot height restriction that's codified in the PAD. An increase in overall open space on the site and the number of amenity areas for a total of 33% open space. It's about 1/3 of the entire site. That included adding access points to connect trails and integrate open space to future trail networks. There was a relocation of a second access point there off of El Cortez to offset that and to terminate it 95th Avenue at El Cortez, both to minimize potential through traffic. And there was also communication initiated with the engineering team to seek alternate street lighting spacing as a result of that feedback for concerns with lighting. So at this point and where we're at now, this is a good milestone and reflective of the public participation process, and staff would like to take time to acknowledge the efforts of our citizens and our council member to greatly thank all for their input. In summary, after analyzing the land use types, the development standards of the applicant's request, staff finds that for the minor general plan amendment, there is an appropriate transition that unifies the predominant category that would be prohibited by natural and physical determining factors there. It meets the general plan goals by also facilitating infill development and will advance housing and lifestyle options in proximity to services and uses. For the rezoning request, staff finds that the change in zoning from SR 43 to planned area development is in conformance with the general plan, consistent with the traditional residential land use designation on the low end of the 2 to 5 dwelling units per acre and compatible with the existing neighborhoods. So at this point, there are a few actions Planning Commission can choose to make as we see displayed, but staff recommends, however, that the Planning Commission make the following 2 recommendations. The first recommendation, approval of case GPA 2505 to the City Council. The second recommendation, approval of case Z25-10 to the City Council, subject to conditions of approval in Exhibit 1. As previously noted, the applicant, along with traffic and planning staff, are present. We can answer any specific questions you may have. should you wish any clarification. And a reminder also that the applicant does have a presentation for additional information. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Valencia, for such a thorough report and, all of that in a bow tie. I know that Commissioner Fighter called it your costume, but I think it's pretty spiffy. Thank you for that. I know that we'll first see if there's any questions for staff commissioners. I do have a point of clarification, and I think I'll start off with that, Mr. Valencia. PUSD did not provide a review or any comment, but in that same slide, it said that they had confirmed capacity. So if there wasn't any contact made, how was capacity confirmed?
Madam Chair, members of the commission, there was a correspondence, electronic correspondence between the applicant and staff with PUSD indicating that the numbers were within the capacity of the schools,
Okay, both the elementary.
the elementary and the high school. Yes,
Okay,
yes,
okay.
Madam Chair.
Okay, perfect. That was my main question. Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner Fighter?
Mr. Valencia, thank you. Can you just help me clarify the existing rights under the general plan for the elephant trunk? What is it, the current uses under the general plan on that piece?
Okay, Madam Chair and Commissioner Fighter, as a mixed-use neighborhood village, it allows for commercial uses as well as residential uses. That's the mixed-use category. But when it comes to residential density, if residential is added on there, the threshold for that is between 12 dwelling units per acre up to 20 dwelling units per acre. So between 12 and 20 if it were all residential. But more importantly, I think, is to delineate that there's also the commercial uses that are allowed, which could include, variety of C1, C2, or other type of commercial uses as well.
Okay. So the uses that are proposed are less than called for in the quote-unquote elephant trunk and completely consistent with the rest of the project. Is that accurate?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Fighter, that is correct.
Okay. I guess I'm just not used to a developer coming in without asking for massive density increases in apartments. So it's refreshing to see it consistent with the general plan, which we voted on. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fighters. Any other commissioners? Commissioner Cottrell?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Mr. Valencia. Two questions I had written down, and then you answered them right at the end. If you could go to your slide on the, at the end, your adjustments that the developer had, there you go. So terminating at El Cortez, which is great. The west end of Yearling there then is now just a square end of asphalt that dies into the dirt. Is the developer gonna be required to do a proper cul-de-sac at the end of that? Because that'll then be locked in forever doing nothing there at Yearling.
Chair, Commission, I don't know if I'm underwater or something. Chair, Commissioner Cottrell, that is currently the termination of Yearling is just into essentially dirt right there.
Right.
The city would be looking for that to be preserved as right-of-way, but ultimately no continuation of the street. So Yearling would continue in its existing condition.
With no proper up-to-code cul-de-sac or anything constructed there.
Chair, Commissioner Cottrell, that's correct. There's no planned improvements for a cul-de-sac at that point.
Okay. And then on the lighting reduction proposed, could you give me any more information on what's being proposed? Is this required? Because I know that neighborhood to the east, those dark streets are a real benefit, and those lights would obviously be a concern.
Commissioner Cottrell, Madam Chair, Commissioner Cottrell, so the discussions have been initiated as far as what the ultimate spacing criteria is going to be. That would be handled through the engineering waiver process. There are minimum safety criteria as well that would have to be adhered to. So that's still being refined as the proposal continues to be refined towards the development process.
Has city staff been open to that and shielding those lights and increasing spacing? Is there
Yep. Madam Chair, Commissioner Control, if I could just add on to Valencia's statement. The applicant has approached the city about that, about seeking a waiver during the plating process. And so the city is agreeable in principle to that. And what that would do is, of course, not only will the lighting have to meet dark sky standards, but the waiver, if granted, would allow for a reduction in the number of lights and the spacing. So essentially, I think you're probably looking at 2 streetlights along 95th Avenue.
Okay, and maybe some shielding so that light doesn't.
Correct, that's right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cottrell. Any other commissioners? I do have one more question, and I think that was regarding some of the resident comments, what came from public outreach. Was there a traffic study done? Because traffic was one of the concerns. And I might have to address Mr. Kennedy or Plan Director Hawkes, whichever one.
Madam Chair and members of the commission, yes, there was a traffic study completed for this development.
Okay. Any key findings surrounding, additional traffic or some of the concerns that residents had?
Key findings would be that this is a relatively low trip generator and that capacity on 95th is adequate to support the traffic volumes. No significant impacts were expected at the signal. It seems like from a traffic standpoint, this will not have an adverse impact on the neighborhood. Also, I wanted to add on to what Mr. Valencia had said about the speed humps. Not only will 95th Avenue retain the speed humps, they will actually be improved to speed cushions like what you would see on a typical collector. That will serve to help lower traffic volume or traffic speeds, which I'm sure is a concern of the community, as well as discourage using the wider street for cut-through.
Okay, that's great. And yeah, I did see the picture of some of those speed bumps that were going to be added and basically widen the road. Okay, that's great. That was my main question. Thank you. So just to clarify, sometimes I have to put it in layman's terms. This is going to be a very low trip generator, and so it would not add an additional, strain of traffic to that area. It should be still flowing well, because I think the traffic signal was the main thing that we were concerned of. But with some of those modifications, it seems that there will be regular flow of traffic, correct?
Correct. Traffic should flow adequately on 95th Avenue. Pardon me. The modifications to the signal are in response to other improvements that will be the responsibility of this development, including a right turn lane, a westbound right turn lane, a southbound left turn lane, and a southbound right turn lane. So these modifications will widen the intersection slightly, requiring some additional traffic equipment.
Nice. Okay, thank you, Mr. Kennedy. That was my point of clarification. Do we have anything else, commissioners? I don't think so. All right, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and open we're gonna have the applicant first, yes. What we'll do is we'll have the applicant first. Sometimes I like to let the residents go first and then have the applicant, but what we'll do is, since staff just presented, we'll flow as usual, have the applicant come before us, and after that, I will open it up so that all of our residents have adequate time to address the commission on this case. Thank you. Please introduce yourself and state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Thank you for Is this better? All right, should we give it a shot? Just go for it, I guess. Okay, good. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time. My name's Adam Baugh, 2121 East Highland Avenue. It's a first to say a different address. I appreciate your time today. And as Elias was presenting, I was just ripping off sheets of paper that I was planning to present to you and realized he did an excellent job, very thorough on what he shared. I think I'll only share 2 slides, and then I'll just jump right to the feedback. So Elias, do you control the presentation, or do I? I started practicing law in 2006, and I've probably done 500, 1,000 cases over that time. Never, ever, ever have I done a case with as low of a density as this one right here. I was trying to think, when have I done anything less than 3.5 to 4 units an acre? So for me to do 2.48, is something that I don't know if I'll ever do again, but I am grateful to be here today. And I think part of it is the cooperation between three groups. One, the council member who gave us some clear direction on what he didn't want to see in this area. Two, early coordination with the planning department before we purchased this land, before we won the auction at the state land department, what they wanted to see. And three, a really cooperative development partner. Most of my clients would stuff a far greater degree of density here, particularly right behind the Lowe's and a Fry shopping center. And I've been guilty of that on other occasions, trying to do a multi-story, multi-family project. To Kay Hovnanian's credit, they knew that what their market was. They knew what they needed to be successful, but not what they needed to be greedy. And they knew how to balance the kind of narrow distance between the large homes to the east and the back of the shopping centers to the west. So I'll walk you through just 2 slides real quick. This is the before general plan and compared to the after general plan. And I thought Commissioner Fighter pointed out something very astute. If I was to just multiply the number of 5 units per acre across the yellow area and 20 units per acre across the elephant's trunk, and if someone was to bring in a project, they could call it consistent with the general plan at 414 units an acre. Not to say they would actually get the zoning, but just saying, if you apply the math of the density that is subscribed to those 2 categories, that could be a possibility and potential without requiring a general plan amendment. What we're bringing in today is 139 units. And as you can see, as Elias presented, a very clear intention by the home builder to make sure that he built something that was compatible in nature. A couple things worth pointing out here. When you see the red box on the south, I went on the assessor's map today. Those lots are 50 by 125. Our lots in the middle, our smallest lots in the middle, are still larger than those lots to the south. And then I looked at the 3 Cadencia lots to the north of us that are outlined in that box. Those lots are 70 by 127. So our lots along 95th Avenue are actually even a little bit bigger than those 2 right there. We cannot achieve a successful project given what you're paying for the state land department and executing this while keeping it at 1 or 2 homes or 2 acre lots like you see to the east. But what we did do was make sure we created something that was high quality, created housing diversity, and paid respect to what was the context of the area. So what you'll see here is doubling the amount of open space, ensuring that there are necessary trail connections so that folks to the north and to the east could still walk and access through those trails and connect to the commercial shopping center, providing amenity areas for our own residents to enjoy and recreate in here, and to provide the ability to improve the streetscape without adding an unnecessary burden. So I'll just jump right here to the comments that we heard. We did hear that this was considered high density. And if only I could point the folks to the last planning commission hearing you guys had, and you could really get a sense of what high density might look like. High density is typically above about 12 units an acre and more. To be only 2.48 is an anomaly, one that I haven't participated in the past. But because our density is so low, our school capacity has no burden. We did reach out to the school district. There was a gentleman named Mike Moss from the Peoria Unified School District who provided an email back to us. He let us know that based on our units and the numbers that we have, it would anticipate to generate 30 elementary students and 18 high school students at the Sunrise Mountain Elementary and the Frontier. And so that was really helpful for us, but more importantly, we did that because we heard the concern and want to make sure we addressed it. We are fortunate to be north of Pinnacle Peak Road. What we learned in cooperation with the city is that developments north of Pinnacle Peak Road can actually apply for a waiver to reduce the lighting. If we were south of Pinnacle Peak Road, I don't think we would have been able to have that opportunity. But as the residents expressed concern about lighting in the area, we want to make sure that we could achieve that. And after talking to the city, we've determined that it is a possibility and we will apply for that. A different concern we heard is about the grading. You see, while the east half of this road was constructed by the city in respect of the neighbors, the west half hasn't been. And there was a fear that perhaps our development would force water over to the east side, particularly on the north end of our property. And so I'm grateful for the feedback from a couple of neighbors who gave me a chance to take a deeper look into this. And so as we considered what the civil grading would do, we were able to find a solution that that observes all the city engineering requirements. It doesn't push any water to east, but it takes on what they're obligated to do. But I think the biggest concern of everything that I heard was related to traffic. And so the next 3 or 4 slides, I'll just point to some of those things. First thing was that we were going to create a traffic nightmare in this area. And at 2.4 units per acre, I don't really think that would be possible, but I also know I'm not a traffic expert. And so we were able to bring in a traffic engineer, and I think that was our mistake at the first meeting. We didn't have our traffic engineer there, nor our civil engineer. So we realized that those were the biggest concerns. We held a second meeting so they could come back and they could actually speak and be accountable to neighbors on what they found. And here is the trip generation from this project. And what we learned is that in the morning peak time, the signal delay on 95th Avenue will only be 1.5 seconds. And in the afternoon peak time, it would only be 3.1 seconds. And so the small delay for the addition of 139 units is a really, really small and reasonable trade-off. As a result, the reason why those numbers are so low is because the city is making us do certain improvements on 95th Avenue. This is what it looks like today. If you're that white car and you're parked at that light looking southbound, if you want to turn left, you gotta wait behind the car. If you want to go straight, you have to wait behind the car. And if you want to go right, maybe you could squeeze by there. But what we know is that upon execution of our project, we'll have to change it. So on the left side of that screen, you'll see what that will look like. It'll be a left, a right, and a straight. And because now it creates room for 3 vehicles at that intersection to exist, it makes our traffic work efficiently. And more importantly, the delays that are experienced there are almost indiscernible. That will be executed upon the development of our project. I know that there was a fear that perhaps we'd be speeding up and down this street. And I can certainly appreciate if you've lived in this area, you want to maintain the status quo and you want it to be safe. And we learned that they do have speed humps on one side of the road. And so we want to make sure that we mimic that on our side of the road. But I learned through this case after 20 years that there's a difference between speed humps and speed cushions. And now I know why we have speed cushions. It's so that fire trucks can go over them without bouncing. And so that's why they have a little bit of a maneuver. So if I try to drive my truck, I can't fit over without one wheel being over the hump, but a fire truck can go over without experiencing that kind of inconvenience. And so we will observe the neighborhood expectation to have speed cushions on the other side of the road. Somebody had asked, well, how come you're just not connecting off of Happy Valley Road instead of 2 connection points on 95th Avenue? And I think we looked at that ourselves, but what we learned is that Happy Valley Road is a limited access parkway. I think the city desires to move traffic in an intentional way. And the more connections you add on Lake Pleasant Parkway, on Happy Valley Parkway, the more lights you add, the more decel lanes you add, the more likely you slow down traffic and create conflicts in that area. So as a result, they determined it was perfectly safe with the only 139 units to have the 2 points on our street. Another concern I heard, not necessarily from, well, I guess I would say from the folks to the east, but particularly the folks to the north, they didn't want our traffic to go up 95th Avenue past our neighborhood and connect to the communities up to the north. And I can respect why. The moment that connection occurs, there's probably a lot more cut through traffic, and it's probably going to change the nature of traffic patterns for the folks that are already there east of 95th Avenue. But we've communicated with the city, or I guess I'd say the city communicated back to us. There's no scenario where there will be a punch through street. We'll have to dedicate right away only because they have public utilities in that area, including a water main extension, but no actual pavement or roadway to be installed. But in response to a concern from some neighbors on El Cortez and a feeling that perhaps our residents would exit our private gate and dart east across El Cortez, we, since our last meeting, in fact, for many of them, they probably will see this for the first time tonight, we have offset our access point a little further to the south. So as a result, it doesn't mean that somebody still couldn't travel east on El Cortez. It's just a couple extra movements and probably a little bit more of an inconvenience. And as a result, we did that in response to what we heard from the folks who live right there in El Cortez. At the end of the day, only because Elias did such a great job, I have nothing left to highlight. But I will just say this. The whole point of the state land department is to sell land. And the idea is that this land funds our schools, so our property taxes don't have an extra tax bill for the schools. And the only way to do that is to find people who are willing to develop it and execute it. And I think, to my client's credit, he found something that worked for him that very few other people would have done. Anybody else would have stuffed a lot of townhomes or apartments right behind the Lowe's for sure, and then probably layered it back with a decreasing level of density. Canadian feels like this is the right use for the area, and as you can tell, it's compatible with the lots to the south and to the north, and they're accommodations to do single stories only on the east side, to do larger lots only on the east side, to only do 139 lots, to do double the amount of density, to offset the El Cortez driveway, to reduce the types of lighting, to put in the speed cushions, and many other things, is a reflection of their ability to hear concerns and be responsive to them. The reality is, unfortunately, there's really no more room to lower your density. When you're 2.4 per acre, it's pretty much as low as you can go and still have an executable project. But I give credit to them and to the neighbors. They gave us patience and grace to try to find the solutions. And I can't say that we've convinced them all. Frankly, there's probably some that will still be objecting to it. But given when we started 50 and then 20 neighbors and tonight significantly less, I think it's a reflection of a collaboration between staff, us, and the community. And I'm thankful for your consideration. I don't know what questions will come up tonight, but I'm certain willing to stand by at the end and answer any questions that the commission may have or the rest of the neighbors.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bach, for that succinct report and, kind of taking out what had already been covered. Personally, I do not have any questions. I think everything was pretty clear. I think I asked my questions before, but commissioners, do we have any questions? No questions? Okay, well, we don't have any questions from commission, and so what I will do is we do have a few speaker request forms on both item 4 and 5R, and so what I will do is I will now open the public hearing, and I will call up the 2 speaker request forms. We have Linda and Craig, and please give me grace if I don't pronounce this right. Goodbrads. I'll have y'all say it on the mic. If you would please come up, Linda and Craig, and please state your name and address for the record. And there should be a timer up there, and so you'll have 3 minutes to state your case.
My name is Linda Goodbrake, and I live in the north part of the Corinthia neighborhood. And I really want to know what benefits our neighborhood and our surrounding community by putting all these homes in there. I realize that it's a lower density than the ones that could be in there, but I'm very concerned about having, 300 plus people right behind my fence. I would like to know also what barriers are going to be around that neighborhood. It's a gated community, it was said, but are there going to be walls around there or what? And so I oppose it, but I would like to have those questions answered.
Thank you, Mrs. Goodbraid. Thank you. Well below your 3 minutes. You're completely fine. What I'll do is I will possibly try to call the applicant back up and see if we maybe can get some of those questions answered, if that works. Thank you so much. All right. I have a second speaker request form for, once again, I'm so bad, but Mr. James, I'm bad at handwriting reading, so
Moymont.
Moymont?
Yeah,
There we
James
go.
Moymont. Yeah, I live also in the same subdivision where Linda and Craig live. My main concern is, the gentleman here that did the traffic thing, when the school across from us, I heard the gentleman, and I appreciate the bigger lots. But I also heard him say there wasn't going to be much impact at school. We have a mess across from our subdivision right now. Every morning. I know the city has tried to make some improvements, but I'm surprised we have not had any big wrecks over there. And I think you all know what I'm talking about. Is it not Sunrise, but is it Frontier? The one right across from our subdivision on Corinthia? Basis. It is a mess over there, and now I look at we're going to put another 139 homes in, which to me puts another stress on it. I do appreciate the bigger lots, I will say that. When I originally saw this, I thought, oh my God, they're going to stuff them in. I do like the bigger lots, but my main concern is the traffic flow. I don't care what time you leave, but if it's in the morning or you're coming back late afternoon, there is a mess across from our subdivision. every day of the week except Saturday and Sunday. So I'm just looking for the strain on that, whatever this will be. And I think he said 30 more kids in the grade school. Well, let's hope the families aren't too active. Kidding. But seriously, that's my main concern is, I understand that we can't stop progress. And I'm like Linda, I really don't want it there, but you know what? It's probably going to happen anyway. But my concern is the traffic flow too. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mormont. And thank you for your transparency. And just for your humor too. There we go. Thank you. Do we have any questions for any of the residents or anything that came up while we were listening, commissioners? No? Nope. All right. Those were the only 2 speaker request forms that I had, unless you've gotten another one, Mrs. Duffy. Okay. Well, what I'll do is I'll now close the public hearing. Oh, I shouldn't have closed it because then I had an applicant that could have came up, but I think I can still call him up. So Mr. Bogg, bring yourself, because this is the public hearing for residents. And so before we move over to a motion, is possibly have some of those questions answered or at least addressed and then move us forward in business. Back to you, Mr. Bogg.
Thank you. I'm agreeable to a stipulation that there will be no active kids in our community, just video game kids. I did think it was ironic, and maybe Karma's playing towards my side today, but at 2:02 p.m. I got an email from AZ Central. A Valley School District is considering closing and consolidating their schools in order to meet a necessary reduction in its budget, which is the Peoria School District. So even their own schools, they're not able to fill the capacity enough to keep the enrollment going in some of them. I don't know the why, and I don't know if that's in this particular area, but I just thought it was timely and interesting. As I just wrote down maybe 2 questions that deserve an answer. One was, what are the barriers? When you look at a map, you can't fully appreciate the degree of elevation change between the community to the north and us. Cadencia neighborhood to the north is much higher topography and elevation than ours. We're actually lower than them. And so our perimeter fence on the lots that are next to them, in fact, Elias, is it possible to go back to the lotting plan real quick? Yeah. There's quite a buffer. I think it was 300 feet of that green space to the north before we even get close to a lot. But those 4 yellow lots at the very end, there's no perimeter fence around the boundary of our project. Those 4 lots will just have their own backyard fence, which will be a half fence with a little bit of view fence on it. And so we're not trying to wall us in like a compound. We're just giving those 4 lots their own backyard fenced in. That's it. And those lots will be much lower in height than the neighbors behind us. So they'll probably be looking into our backyards as opposed to the opposite way. And then when you think about what benefits, I'm sure somebody asked them that question before they moved into their neighborhood and before their community was built. I guess the people before them probably thought, what benefit does it bring to have Cadencia in here? Because it's about a similar type of product. I think the benefit is people deserve to live in Peoria. They deserve to live here. It's a great community. They deserve to have good quality homes and near retail shopping centers. If you think about trips, the ability to put homes next to a shopping center actually probably reduces the number of trips that you'll be making across the valley because you're just going closer to the shopping center next door instead of driving further away. But I think some of the bigger benefits here is we're doing much less than what somebody else would do. And if you had to think about the benefits, I would rather have this project than the unknown future, which could certainly be much more dense than what we're proposing today. I don't think there was any other questions.
There wasn't. Thank you so much, Mr. Bogg, and thank you for addressing those. I think, that was sufficient. What I'll do, I do have just a comment before we move on, and then we'll move forward to a motion, is that I just appreciated how succinct, but how accurate the report was from the presentation was from the developer. One thing that came to mind as, we were just going through a few closing questions is the unforeseeable future, having something that is very considerate as far as density, but then also thinking about, when we think about our general plan, we think about smart growth. And I think that this project, if I say so myself, I think would be smarter growth than a denser project that may be built there if this doesn't move forward. And so I will open up for a motion here, but I do like the fact that this was what I believe a sensitive project because it won't strain the neighborhood as much as it could if we have another applicant or anything else that comes before us that would want that same lot and possibly would want to do the max of what is allowed. And this is just the thing about planning and zoning. This is allowed, and they literally went way below what they could have built. And I think that is something that stood out to me. And then also the comments about the trips. There is, right, a Lowe's, there's a grocery store right there. And so this also adds value because people would not have to travel that long. And I think traffic and the schools were my two concerns. And so that being addressed, I feel comfortable moving this forward. And so what I will do, if there's any other comments, yeah, Commissioner Agia, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to comment about the schools because I have two children that go to the local public schools, and ingress and degress, it's a challenge as a parent. So with the amount of growth, I am very appreciative that this won't be an apartment complex, that it would be single-family homes. But I do know that we are building up in this area, and eventually, hopefully, there will be more schools put in this area. But as we do build those schools, I hope they take into more consideration the current mess that the schools make in the neighborhoods, because the way the current structure of it is a struggle. So I sympathize with that.
And thank you, Commissioner Agia. I think you made a good point, and I think you've heard me say it plenty of times in agreement with you. As we grow, our city is going to have to grow with it. And so schools, even more public safety, all those things are going to be a necessity. And I know that our city has done a phenomenal job with not waiting until a problem arises, but thinking ahead as we build our city. And so thank you. Any other commissioners?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and accept the motion for item 4R GPA 25-05. Do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve item 4R, minor general plan amendment, case GPA 2505.
Okay, properly moved by Commissioner Fider. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Perfect. Properly moved by Commissioner Fider and seconded by Commissioner Agia. Can we please have a vote, commissioners? Thank you, Commissioners, and the motion passed unanimously. I think we also have a second motion now for item 5R, and so what I'll do is I'll move us along to item 5R, which is Z25-10. There's no any further comments on that one, correct, Commissioners? Okay, all right. We'll move forward, and I'll accept a motion for item 5R.
Madam Chair, I'll also make a motion to approve item 5R, Treviso rezone Z25-10.
Perfect. Thank you. Properly moved. Commissioner Fider, do we have a second?
Madam Chair, members of the commission, I do want to just intervene a little bit here when that motion is made to include that condition, per the conditions of approval for Exhibit 1. So I do believe this is going to require an amended motion. So, sorry.
Okay, so the amended motion would be based upon the conditions of the previous agenda item.
Madam
Please,
Chair,
correct.
I will make a motion to approve item 5R, Treviso rezone Z25-10 with the attached conditions as proposed.
Okay, thank you. Properly moved, Commissioner Fider. Can we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, properly moved, Commissioner Fider, and seconded by Commissioner Agia. Commissioners, can we please move towards a vote? Perfect, and the motion has passed unanimously. Thank you, staff, and thank you to the applicant as well as the residents for being here and advocating. I appreciate you and your time. Thank you. All right, thank you. I see we have a little bit of a switch out here. There we go. We will be moving forward to two of our next. I think we have item 6R and 7R. They will come right off behind each other, correct? Yes, we go. All right. Welcome, Deputy Director Deaver. I'll go ahead and move us forward to items 6 and 7R. What I'll do in the interest of time, since we can then just roll straight into our election of officers, and I'll leave it with staff. Will that work? Will that work? Because you guys have a small presentation just on the schedule, or would you like to do it separately?
Yeah, we have a extremely concise presentation on this item here.
Perfect, and then I'll move us forward to election. Thank you, let's go there.
Right. Good evening, Chair, members of the commission. So like Chris said, I'll be extremely brief here. No action necessary on this item. This is just to bring before you our anticipated schedule for the coming year for the Planning and Zoning Commission meetings. A little bit of a quirk that we're going to encounter this year is, fingers crossed, we will be done soon with the council chambers, and we will be moving back in there from this location. We anticipate that occurring in May. So we will be adjusting the schedule and making sure to send reminders to folks so that hopefully we don't end up in here. And we'll be in the council chambers from May on. So with that in mind, this is just a glimpse at that schedule that we wanted to give you guys. And it may adjust dependent on various externalities, whether that's holiday or other items, but we've tried to account for those. As you can see, the July 2nd meeting being canceled there. So just trying to give everyone a heads up as to what that meeting schedule would look like in the coming year. And that's all.
Thank you. Mr. Gleason, I do have a quick question. I mean, with any changes, the meeting still will be at 6 p.m., correct, from what I see?
Chair, that's correct. Only anticipated changes at this time would be the meeting location. Sometimes if we cannot poll a quorum, we'll look to move it. Really, that's the focus of the potential changes.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions about the schedule, commissioners? Okay, no, we don't. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over, I believe, to Deputy Director Deaver. But before I do so, what I will say is I'll leave a brief comment here. We're going to move on into our election, but just with interest of time, I'll just make a quick comment. Before I hand it over, I do want to briefly share that as I still have one more year eligible for the position of chair, I will not be seeking re-election at this time. I will share more during the commissioners' updates, but with that being said, I really want to move us forward to the election process, but also I'm very excited about the next leader that will lead our commission as we go to a vote. But I just want to leave that disclaimer there, and we'll share more towards the end of our commission during commissioner updates. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the commission. We are here back before you on an annual basis for election of officers. As Chair noted, eligible to serve in 2 years. Chair has removed herself from nomination, so please take that into consideration. So what staff normally does is ask for a nomination. We do ask that the party accept, and then we do a vote by commission. What I would say is this is the ability to nominate yourself or phone a friend. Please keep in mind, Chair doesn't wish to be renominated. So with that, let's start voting. Let's start with nominations for chair.
Can I do one quick interjection before we do? Only because I see a mistake on the screen. So 2024, I was vice chair. I think Jeff Nelson was already off the commission then. And so the only reason I know that is because I know that I was there 2024. So that's the only thing, but it's not a big mistake at all. But 2024, Jeff Nelson wasn't vice chair. I just want to state that for the record in case we made any mistakes on minutes. Thank you so much, and back to you, Deputy Director.
Thank you. We will make note of that. Appreciate that. So for the chair position, would you like to nominate yourself, phone a friend, or nominate someone else?
Let's start off, Tony.
I would like to nominate Leila Villasenor to be the chairwoman for 2026.
Yes.
I'm seeing heads nodded.
I'm going to second on that. I think that she's been a wonderful vice chair, and I would love to nominate Commissioner Villasenor for the office as chair as well.
Commissioner, do you accept the nomination?
I accept the nomination. Thank you.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Madam Chair, with that, I'm going to call a voice vote, if you will, please, for all those voting for our next chair to be Commissioner Villasenor. Would you please state aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. All right. Second, vice chair. Again, you may nominate yourself or nominate a friend. Who would like to be vice chair?
I would like, can I go again?
Sorry, I had my mic.
Yeah.
I would
we're
like
gonna leave you to it.
to nominate Commissioner Gaynor as vice chair.
He is not here. We're going to assume, shall we assume that he's going to accept the nomination?
So I would like to second. I think, Commissioner Gaynor, with his extensive experience, that he would make a great vice chair. He's chaired Phoenix Planning and Zoning Commission before, and I think that he could do the same for Peoria. So vice chair, if he doesn't accept, he'll have to let us know by phone or next week. So I second that, Commissioner Gaynor for vice chair.
All right, with all that, let's do a voice vote, please. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Unanimous. All right, we will tell him congratulations and seat him accordingly next one.
Okay.
All right, last one is a little bit outdated. At some point, we will update our rules for procedure. Don't assume that you're actually taking minutes as secretary. Please assume that you're third on deck should the two not be available to run the meeting. So that's simply what that means.
You're not on deck, you're in the hall.
Yeah, if you're not on deck, you're in the hall, you're pitch hitting at this point. So with that, again, nominate yourself or nominate a friend. Shall we go for three, Mr. Fighter?
I would like to nominate Nate Cottrell for the number 3 slot.
I am seeing nodding of heads.
I would like to second. I think that he is the most precise commissioner that we have, and I think that if it ever came to it, he would take the meeting notes and he would not make one mistake, okay, if we needed him to be secretary. And so I think that he will keep us in check when it comes to making sure that our meeting and our meeting minutes are correct. So I would like to second.
All right, I'm seeing a nodding of a yes, so thank you. Can I have one more voice vote, please?
Aye.
Unanimous. All right. With that, at the next meeting, we get to arrange a chair. So please look forward to your new seating positions at the next meeting.
Yes. Thank you.
May I make a comment?
Yes.
Awesome.
Your acceptance speech?
Yes, my acceptance. No, thank you. Thank you for the vote of confidence, everyone. I look forward to working with staff in 2026. It's going to be a great year. But I do want to take a minute just to commend and thank you, Madam Chair, for your leadership this last year. I know great things are for you, ahead of you, but do appreciate your leadership for the last year. It's been seamless, flawless.
I wouldn't say
Thank
that,
you.
but I'll take the compliment. Thank
I
you.
feel like it has been, but thank you very much.
Thank you. And just as we are making our comments, and I'll hand it over to Commissioner Fighter, I want to say congratulations to all of our new officers. We have some new faces. I'm very excited, Commissioner Villaseñor, to see you stepping to this chairing role and being the next woman to lead our commission. I think with her experience and all that she has done and how she's been a huge asset to our commission from the day that she has joined, she's going to do wonderful. And so I look forward to continuing to serve alongside of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Fighter, anyone else? Oh, we're all good? Well, actually, I think it's back to me.
Back
but
to you, Madam Chair.
There we go. Thank you so much, Deputy Director Deaver. And, things wouldn't be the same if we didn't have Deputy Director Deaver leading our elections, okay? There we go. So thank you for that and your service. I will now do a call to the public. I will open public hearing and close public hearing, seeing none. Now we're going to move on to reports from staff. Do we have any reports, staff? There we go.
Madam Chair, I'll take a stab and see if Chris wants to add anything. As we noted in the schedule and as we've talked about before, we are only having one meeting in January, and that is tonight. So I would invite you back February 5th, same place, same time. We do have business on the docket that evening. You see the next two below. Chris, anything else?
Couple things. I also wanted to thank Chair for your service over the last year. It was great, and welcome, Happy New Year to all the commissioners this year. We have a big year in front of us. We've got some infill zoning cases coming our way over the next several months. We've got the Pure Innovation Core as well coming first half of the year. So a lot of exciting, a lot of big projects coming our way. So a lot to look forward to. I think that's it.
Thank you, staff. I will go ahead and open it up to commissioners for commissioners updates if there are any. I do have an update. Okay, well, I'll go ahead with my update. I want to first off thank staff too. I mean, truly, it's been an honor. this is my last official meeting as chair, and I just want to thank you all for grace as I was learning and figuring out how this chairing role worked. And we had a lot of contentious cases, and just you all being here made it so much easier. Your reporting, any questions that we had. I truly believe that we have the best planning department in the state. And I tell you that as a commissioner that has faithfully for the past 3 years went to the American Planning Conference and seen our planning department just be just above the bar. And I just want people to know that. And so you all have made it easy for me to serve. I want to thank you all of our new planners that have came in. And so it truly has been an honor and a joy. But with that being said, it really has been an honor to serve in this role. But I do want to have a moment of transparency and share something with commission, all of us, and the residents watching. It's been an honor to serve this commission for the past few years. This is my 3rd term, I believe. I've served in every capacity, as we've known, from secretary to vice chair to chair, and that truly was something I've been humbly proud of because I believe that we are always supposed to serve wherever we can. At this time, I do want to share with everyone that I have filed my statement of interest to run for office and prayerfully be the next councilwoman for the Pine District of Peoria. And so as I've done that, I just took a lot of time in prayer to think about what the best way to do that is. I did get word from the city clerk that I did not have to, during this season, step down from the commission unless elected. But I do believe that the chairing role of this commission, deserves 100%. And so with me having some other things that are on the horizon for me, I think I would love to just serve alongside the now duly elected Chair Fia Senior and serve out the rest of my term as a commissioner, but also understanding that she will be able to give it 100% and be able to be here as need be. And so I thank all of you all for the time and the grace, and I really have enjoyed serving in every capacity that I could, and I look forward to continuing to finish this last term strong with all the commissioners we have here. It's truly an honor, and I'm excited to see what God has in store for me next. So thank you all.
Madam Chair, while you still are Madam Chair, I just wanted to say thank you also. The new chair was so eloquently in saying, but we've served together on this commission for 5 or 6 years now, and it's been a real pleasure. So we wish you the best of luck, and we're rooting for you. So.
Hey,
Thanks.
thank you. Hey, if you can have someone like a giant, Tony Fighter, root for you, you're all right, okay? That gave me a lot of confidence. There you go.
She said giant.
When I'm talking about giant, I'm talking about a giant on this commission. I mean, he asked the hard and the good questions.
Can you please make sure that gets on the record?
So let me tell you all, my husband is a pastor, and they call people, ecumenical giants and pulpit giants, and it's just talking about how great they serve. And so when I'm telling you you're a giant, you're a great man of service, because we have served along each other for about almost 6 years. And so thank you for that, Commissioner Fighter. That means a lot. So I think that's all that we have. And so this will be my last time with the gavel that I've enjoyed so much. So love banging this thing.
Give it everything.
I'm gonna have to give my last ring. So Chair Waitman Powell, I now adjourn this meeting. Thank you.